Hey, everybody, welcome back to Disrupt Your Now with me, your host, Lisa Kipps-Brown. I cannot believe that we're only a week and a half from Christmas and I've not done one thing, but that's off topic. I want to introduce y'all to my guest tonight, Christine Walker. She is a veteran and the founder of Addie's Veterans Magazine. And look, y'all, she has an amazing story because she started this magazine during COVID, and it's a print magazine, print and digital. But look at all the things that she has stacked against her. Print magazine, started during COVID, all of that. And it is so successful. She's already planning, well, you're probably further out now. She's already, the last time we talked about it, she was already planning a year out. So, Christine, tell us your background and how you got to where you are, and then we'll take it from there.
Well, it's interesting. When I was in the Navy, I was in the Navy during
In
Desert
the Navy.
in the Navy, and I was a hospital corpsman. I was actually in boot camp when the war actually started,
Mhm.
January 17th, 1991, and
Desert Storm, right?
Desert Storm, and I remember it well. Went to my A school. I was in the medical field, so I was a hospital corpsman. I was stationed at a Marine Corps base, Camp Lejeune, and basically, I was stateside and I was at the hospital on hospital side. I tried to go 8404 FMF. That's like kind of getting additional training. It's kind of
Okay.
basically another boot camp. So
Hmm.
you can be embedded with the Marine Corps uh,
Yeah.
companies, but they didn't have any billets for women
Mhm.
foremen. So I tried.
Yeah, that was a harder time for women.
Oh, well, women were not in combat when I was in.
Yeah. Yeah.
We were not, that didn't happen until 1994.
Yeah,
So,
and so that really limits your career tracks.
yes, I mean, it does. And basically, you're in a service position, you're at the
Mhm.
hospital, you're at a clinic, you're that kind of thing, which was fine. I mean, I
Yeah.
loved what I did, and all my patients were still Marines and
Hmm.
Marine Corps families, so that worked for me.
Yeah.
And I got out of the military fairly early. I mean, I went in as a reservist. Desert Storm started. I went active duty. And then about 1992, that's when Congress and they were like, oh, we need to, reduce our military. We need to
Mhm.
do this. So because I had gone in reservist, they're like, oh, bye bye.
Yeah. I remember that.
Because I actually wanted to make it a career. So, and I probably would have changed MOS or billets just
Hmm.
because healthcare was not my gig. But
Yeah.
um, so I went in and I got out, and then I was like, back then there were no transition services for military.
I know my husband retired in 1990, and it's
Yeah,
like, see you later.
yeah.
Yeah.
Basically, they just hand you your last check, your per
Mhm.
diem for your move, and then kick in the butt and have a good life, and
Yeah.
that was it. So I kind of turned into when I say this, people are like, "Oh, you turned into a hippie." Yeah, kind of. I just kind of decided to do what I wanted to do. If
Yeah.
I had an interest, I would pursue it. And I did that a lot. I went to Floral Design School, then I went to the Texas Peace Officer Academy, and I
Mhm.
actually passed my T close. And then I went straight to California and was in charge of security for a pharmaceutical company
Oh, wow.
for quite a few years. And
Mhm.
then I'm like, yeah, I'm kind of done with the whole corporate thing. I was definitely done with the pharmaceutical industry.
Mhm.
So then I switched gears again and kind of went in the nonprofit sector and did that for about 15 years and really got tired of that after 15 years. And then
Mhm.
I moved, new city, and started my own kind of web design and print design company and did that for a little bit. And then my mother moved to a little town near me. So I decided to move with her and,
Mhm.
or not move in with her, but move up to the same town.
Yeah.
So, and I got a little job at a little newspaper that was over 100 and some years old.
Mm.
It was the first newspaper established in Denton County, and I loved it. My boss was a little bit of a jerk, but he knew his business, he knew what he was doing, and I made the decision to just glean and learn everything I possibly could. And because of that, I fell in love with publishing. Who
Wow.
knew that I would ever be a publisher or anything like that? So, and then shortly thereafter, a friend of mine and I started our own little publishing company, doing a, a periodical magazine for a little community in our area. And
Oh.
the model was we were going to do that and then duplicate it within
Mhm.
other areas. We never quite got to that point, and that's when I'm like, yeah, I'm not really making any money, and I really need
Mhm.
to make money. So I decided, why not just start my own publishing company?
Yeah.
So I did, and I really decided I wanted to do a veteran as a veteran, and within the veteran community, I wanted to do a veteran focused magazine, but I wanted something different than what I had seen.
Yeah.
There were veteran service organizations that have magazines like the VFW and
Mhm.
American Legion, but they're small publications and they're okay, but I'm hard hitting. I'm like, I want to get the real story. So we decided to start our own. I started my own magazine, and here I am. And it is definitely written by vets for vets. And the next thing I know, I have people. I'm inundated with veterans wanting to write for us and wanting to submit stories and all this. And so that is why I am now planning a year in advance already,
Wow.
because I have so many veterans interested in what we're doing
Mhm.
and wanting to tell their story and there's so many. I mean, veterans are as different as civilians are different.
Yeah, it's every cross section of America, and that's what a lot of people don't understand.
And every veteran has their niche,
Mhm.
and so in their perspective, some are combat vets, some aren't, some are, you know we did do a World War II couple stories from World War II veterans.
Uh-huh.
um, we've had quite a few Vietnam, several Desert Storm, a lot of post 9/11, and they all kind of tell their stories and their own little niche and their own little organizations and what they do and how they do
Mhm.
things, and it's been fantastic, absolutely fantastic.
I,
Um,
I and your magazine is so professionally published, I have to say, and
Thank
I know
you.
you do all the design and layout yourself. It
I
looks awesome.
do.
Hold it up and let them
I
hold up
was
and show them all the ones that you've gotten published so far.
I My kitty is laying on the magazine.
Oh, funny.
I'm sorry, baby girl. Okay, this is
That's the most recent one,
yeah,
right?
that's the most recent one.
Okay. And show them that it's perfect bound. So people are probably
Yes.
not publishers, but so y'all, this is put together like a regular magazine, like glued
Yeah.
to the cover. And I wanted them to see that so they could see the difference back to the first one when you do it. Yeah, that's nice.
So, and it's beautiful. It's all in full color.
Hmm.
This is one of the articles written by one of our female vets.
Oh yeah, Annette, she's a friend of mine.
It's called Girls in Grit,
Hmm.
and we tell the stories of female vets too,
Okay.
because we do have a very different perspective oftentimes about the military and how
For
that
sure.
works and how our experience going through it. So,
Hmm.
and then we have DD 214 and beyond, and that's for vets transitioning,
Mm,
because transition just quite frankly sucks.
it does.
Um,
You're not prepared. When my husband retired, he'd been in the Navy 26 years. It's all
right,
he'd ever done other than be
yeah,
a cowboy. And I mean, this was back during Vietnam. He's 14
right,
years older than me. I mean, he enlisted during Vietnam.
right.
He ended up doing 13, enlisted 13 commission. But when he came out, he's like, what do I do now? I mean, he had a master's degree, but
You're
the
lost.
yeah, they don't know how to translate their skill
Right,
set. Even though he was married to me and my background was in
right.
corporate stuff, it's still show them the other
Oh, sure.
issues though before we get into other
You're
stuff.
my
I want
little.
them to see the transition, like how the
Well,
first one that you started and up to
so
now.
this is our first one, our inaugural edition,
Hmm.
and this woman on the cover is my great aunt.
Uh-huh.
Um, She won the Distinguished Flying Cross during the Korean War.
Oh, wow. That's cool.
And this is only 40 pages, but it's
Okay.
stapled.
And it's stapled. So that's what I wanted people to see.
Right.
And so that one came out. What month did that come out in?
March of 21.
Oh, March of 21. I said you started it in 2020.
We did.
Okay, but the first
we spent 9 months preparing.
Oh, okay.
Get our first issue out. So yes, we did start.
So your very first issue was this year, just 9 months ago, and now you've had what, 4 issues?
4 issues.
And you've gone from stapled 40 pages to perfect bound. How many pages in the latest?
60. We're 60. We're at 60 pages now. But our next one is probably going to go up to 68, possibly 72.
Wow. And it's really nice quality. Heavy paper,
this
glossy.
This is our second one.
Yeah, that's cool. It looks so good.
And you can kind of see what we do. And then our fall issue, you know, and we always do taps at the end of the magazine. We always So, you know, we choose a demographic, and this issue happens to be the 13 that were killed in Afghanistan.
Oh,
so they're on our taps page. But
that's really nice that you do that.
Yeah.
Before we get into the business part, because I might forget this, tell people if they want to subscribe or if they just want to read your digital version, how can they find it? And how
can go to theateasemagazine.com. And if you'd like to subscribe, just go to theateasemagazine.com, click subscribe. It's right there.
And there's a link to the digital version there as well, right?
And if you go to issues, you can see our current issue. I think you can. I may have to update that real quick after this.
Well, so, and what are you doing them quarterly now?
Yes, we started quarterly. We're going to stay quarterly because we can always go up in pages and advertising, but to put a magazine together takes time.
Yes.
And until I have a staff of designers and writers and an assistant who can keep my brain in check, who can keep my brain in check, basically. We're not going to do it.
Yeah, I think quarterly makes so much more sense anyway, because everybody gets so busy that even if it's a magazine you want to read, they come and I haven't had time to read the one that came before. So I think quarterly makes a lot more sense. You can just, as you said, you can increase the pages in that without, because each issue can vary where you're not instead of having to commit to every single month.
Right.
Okay. So I want to talk about, you said that you started, so the first issue came out in 2021, but you actually started the business in 2020. Tell us about your startup life, you know, how that went, your startup journey.
Well, what originally happened was, you know, it goes back to May of 2020. COVID is in full swing. We are on lockdowns. Nobody is going anywhere. Nobody is doing anything. And I had to have a life-saving surgery.
Wow.
That was just the long and short of it. I had kept put it off for years. And basically my surgeon was like, if you don't take care of this, you're going to die.
Oh my gosh.
So like, okay, I'll take
That's a rude awakening, right?
A little bit. So I went in for surgery on a Monday and had, you know, a complete abdominal reconstruction. And got all my innards and all my organs put back where they belong. And woke up from surgery, did great. I was ready to like walk down the hallway like 2 hours after I got to my room. Like, no. Well, you can walk tomorrow. So I'm like, okay. And, you know, being a corpsman, I'm not, you know, you typically sometimes, you know, medical professionals or people who've been in the medical field, they're not very good patients.
Yeah.
I'm the exact opposite. I'm like, no, let me help you. I'll help you.
That's funny.
And they're like, no, you're the patient. I'm like, oh, okay. So I had 5 days in the hospital, no visitors, just the medical staff.
Because of COVID. Yeah.
And that's when the Blue Angels were flying. The Blue Angels came to Texas and they were flying over the hospitals and doing formations
Uh-huh.
as a show of support
Yeah.
to COVID patients. And I happened to be in the hospital at the time in a private room with a big window. And I literally saw the Blue Angels fly over my window
Aw.
in formation. And I'm like, yeah, this is what I'm going to do, because I was happy, but I wasn't in love with what I was doing.
Mhm.
I had kind of lost that spark.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's when I decided, and I'd been thinking for a while, do I start my own company? Do I start a veterans magazine? I've been thinking about that for a few months. And I was nervous to talk to my business partners because I didn't want them to think that, I didn't love them anymore.
Yeah.
But I wanted to branch out on my own and kind of do
Mhm.
things the way I thought they could be done.
Yeah.
And so I made the decision in that hospital bed to start it. So first thing you have to do is a publishing company. I mean, you can start a magazine all you want, but without a publishing company, you got to have that established first. So
Mhm.
I decided on Double Dog Publishing. I don't know if you can see it,
I like that name.
but Double Dog Publishing is a nickname given to FMF 8404 corpsmen who served with the Marine Corps, who are
Mhm.
devil dogs. And even though I wasn't 8404, I'm like, yeah, but my Marines are my Marines,
That's right. And it's a
And
cool name.
so, yeah, so I kind of took it on and really decided, it's going to be a wink and a nod to my fellow corpsmen, you
Mhm.
know, and so we started the publishing company. I got the DBA for the publishing company and Addie's magazine, veteran magazine, the same day.
Oh, okay.
But I knew we had to build the publishing company first, then build the magazine, and so that's what I did. Um,
So explain to people what you mean by building the publishing company first.
so the publishing company is like Addie's Veterans magazine is printed and published by Double Dock Publishing.
Uh-huh.
The publisher is the one who carries all the legal, all the
Yeah.
copyright,
Mhm.
all the legalities, the copyright information, the trademark information. We carry that,
Okay.
and if we don't have that, then the magazine could be easily taken over. We could get a cease and desist. There's a
Mhm.
lot of things that happen. But by
Okay.
establishing the publishing company first, it not only allows us to do Addie's Veterans Magazine, but down the road, it allows us to do other publications.
Okay. So
But
you're talking more
also,
of the official stuff that you had to
yes,
do. Okay,
yes.
gotcha.
And so we started that Double Dog Publishing. It looked very different than it does now. And we kind of grew. And then Addie's Veterans Magazine started more as a county magazine. It was going to be Denton County.
Oh.
And a lot of people they're like, oh, that sounds like a good idea. But, I couldn't get any advertisers. Nobody wanted to spend money during the pandemic.
And when it's local, eventually you kind of run out of things to write about.
Well, and I mean, I wasn't worried about that so much because Denton is huge.
Oh, okay.
Well, we have a lot of veterans. I mean, Justin.
Oh, so you were planning on doing veteran stories
Mhm.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I knew we'd have enough content, but I wasn't getting the advertisers I needed. And without advertisers, you can't print a magazine.
Yeah.
So, or you can't produce a magazine. So then I thought, well, I'll go regional.
Mhm.
I'll go like the 5 counties, Dallas, Tarrant, Denton, Grayson, Collin. I'll go with those 5 counties. There's 1.4 million veterans
Mm.
just in those 5 counties alone. So I did a lot of demographic work and I did a lot of research and I, talked to a lot of veteran organizations. They were all interested, but again, nobody wanted to pony up the dollars
Yeah.
to get it done. Um, so around November 2020, I was sitting there and I was thinking, what do we do? Do we just scrap this idea and we're done? Because I'm
Mhm.
not going to put in the work if we can't get the funding to get going.
Yeah.
So, and then all of a sudden, I would say probably early November, I started getting a lot of messages on Facebook.
Mm.
veterans, because we had the Facebook page, we had the website, we had both the two websites, plus we had the Facebook pages. And I thought, um, what, and they were saying, oh, I wish this were national. Oh, or I wish we had this in where I lived
Mhm.
in New Hampshire or Connecticut, and I'm like, okay. And after getting like my 17th message, I was like, okay, maybe I'm a little dense.
Yeah, there's a pattern here, right?
There is a pattern. So I literally took December, the end of November, 1st of December of 2020, and I said, should I just go national? Because I knew going national was going to be a much bigger thing. I
Yeah.
knew I couldn't rely on advertising to go national. I
Mhm.
knew I would have to have a hybrid business model that would
Mhm.
transition over time from advertising based to subscription based, where
Mhm.
the amount of the subscriptions carries the business as opposed to the advertisers.
Mhm.
So I put together a little thing in my head, and then I put it on paper. And then I really thought about, how do I get this going? Because subscriptions is a big deal. And who's going to be doing distributing it first? Me.
Yeah.
And who's going to be doing the layout? Who's going to keep track of the Excel spreadsheet with our subscribers? Me.
Mhm.
Who hates Excel spreadsheets
That's
more than
who
anything?
I am.
Me. So I really am like, okay, I can do this. I can do this. So I did. I put it up. I got the models. I got our website updated, and by January, I was putting together a magazine. Didn't know if it was going to fly, but went ahead and printed 100 copies. Got enough advertising to print 100 copies, and got them sent out to our subscriber base, our tiny, tiny, tiny little
Mhm.
subscriber base. And then I decided to do something a little bit different. We have three versions of this magazine. We have our print, obviously,
Uh-huh.
which is our most expensive. And
Yeah.
then we have a digital version, which is more like a blog. So
Yeah.
it's very mobile friendly. If you read it, you can actually read it on your phone. It's no problem. And
Okay.
then we have our magazine,
Like the
which is
flipping
which
page.
is the flip book.
Yeah.
And I had to decide, do we charge for the flip book, or do we just
Mhm.
make it free and see what kind of readership we get?
Yeah.
So I kept it free, and our readership for it has been exponential.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah. So, and then of course, once they read one, they have access to all our previous issues as
Yeah.
well. So all it does is build up our numbers. So
Yeah, and I've done a lot of flipping books for the or flip books, whichever one you want to call it, for clients. And the thing is, the thing about having it so that it looks and sounds like a magazine, that kind of then makes people want to hold the magazine.
exactly.
But the other thing is, your magazines are so beautiful and the stories are so awesome. They're going to be collector's items.
Mm-hmm.
So I would think that some people would want to subscribe just for that reason, even if they mostly read online, to have this really cool library of
Right.
magazines.
Well, the cool thing about it is too, this was never meant to be just a throwaway mag.
Yeah.
It the quality, the design of it, everything about it had to be done with excellence. Now, don't get me wrong, our stories are sometimes unfiltered. We don't filter out language. We don't filter out
Well, hey,
violence.
that makes it authentic.
Yeah, this is a magazine by vets for vets.
Corvettes, that's
None of
right.
our vets are offended by that.
Yeah.
So, you know,
Well, hey, my husband's the sailor, but I'm the one with the sailor mouth, so I wouldn't.
yeah, I've got a sailor mouth. It drives my mother crazy. Well, it drives everybody crazy. But I don't deal with it.
But no, but that makes it more authentic. So
Right.
you're
It's
speaking to your audience.
it's honest and it's real. And I'll tell you the one thing that kind of ticks off a vet more, more than anything else, is something that is so formal or so tied up with a pink bow.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, can we just get real for 2 seconds?
Yeah.
Because, at the end of the day, the whole point of this magazine is to tell the daggum stories.
Right.
We're here to tell the stories. Every veteran has a story to tell. If you go to our website, that's the first thing you see. Every veteran has a story to tell. Whether you're in 2 years and you served as a hospital corpsman and you were a nobody, or whether you are a lieutenant colonel and you spent 30 years, in the Marine Corps, every vet has a story to tell.
Yeah.
And with that being said, we don't filter those stories. They're real, they're honest, they're raw. And I'll tell you what else is happening because of it. Vets are finding that they're writing their stories and it's becoming cathartic. So vets struggling with PTSD who have never penned anything are writing their stories down, and all of a sudden they're finding healing.
That's awesome.
Or they're being interviewed and they're telling one of my writers a story they've never told anybody. And by the way, the majority of my writers are vets.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's great too.
My staff writers, except for one, they're all vets. All my feature writers are vets. All my contributing writers, except for like one or two, are veterans.
So if somebody, like if I were a veteran and I wanted my story told and you accepted it or whatever, would I write it and then y'all would edit it, or would I guess it depends on the person.
It depends on
the interview and then you write.
We do have staff writers. So like every quarter, the beginning of every quarter, we have a staff meeting, a Zoom staff meeting, and we start parceling out, who's taking this, who's taking that, what are you doing, what do you want to do? And then I have feature writers who have written, like my mentor for Texas Veterans Commission, believe it or not, she decided she wanted to write for us. And I'm like, well, okie dokie. So I gave her our DD 214 and beyond section.
Oh, that's cool.
So she is now the official writer for our DD 214 and beyond. I have another writer, Paul Sullivan. Love him. He's 85. He's a retired USMC captain. He is freaking hilarious. And, he's from back east. He's from Massachusetts.
Yeah.
And it's like he's unfiltered. And I'm like, I just love his stories. They are hilarious.
I need to meet him.
Oh, he's so great. So anyway, they came on board. He came on board, and he's been with us since the beginning. My head writer, Shannon Robinson, she's in her 20s. But she's a patriot. She loves vets. She loves this country. And she actually grew up partly in Russia.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, she got to see a part of Russia that, how bad it was.
Yeah.
Came to the United States, was like, America.
Yeah, I was just talking, this girl is not a vet or anything, but I was just talking to a young lady a couple of months ago who'd moved here from one of the Soviet countries. And she was just like, people, a lot of younger people now, not to get into political stuff,
right.
off track, but a lot of younger people especially have like rose-colored glasses for Russia. And she's like, yeah, they need it. And she's only like maybe 24. She's like, yeah, they needed to see just one day of what we went through. And those, so anyway, sorry for going off topic. But
but the point is, she has a master's in English.
Oh, wow.
And so she's our assistant editor and my head writer, and I trust her implicitly. And she writes phenomenal stories. And what I love is the progression, because I'm a storyteller. If you read my articles, you'll see, even when they're like more formal type articles, I'm still telling a story.
Yeah.
And, it's like she loves that about me. And I love that she is so good at what she does. And she makes us look so great.
That's great. Now, how did y'all meet?
We met in the bar of an American.
That's a great place to meet.
of an American Legion.
Oh, fun.
And she just happened to come up and to have a beer, and we met. And I was telling her that I, was part of this is when I was back doing the community magazine, and she's like, "Oh my
Yeah.
gosh, I'm a writer," and so we just kind of stay connected. And when I started this project, I'm like, "What do you think? Are you on board?" And she goes, "Yeah, I'm on board."
Awesome.
So yeah, she's our assistant editor and head writer. She's phenomenal. And then I have a Marine, Army, Navy. Right, actually, yeah, I pretty much got them all.
That's
The only
great.
one I don't have yet is an Air Force writer, so who knows? But yeah, and so I've got feature writers. My friend Christy, she is actually the founder of the American Veteran Chamber of Commerce.
Oh, yeah.
She is also the president of DFW Veteran Chamber of Commerce
Okay.
and also a hospital corpsman. But she was in California and they were actually introducing female billets of 8404. So she did have the opportunity to go 8404.
Oh, okay.
And so we've connected over time, and so she's one of our writers. And so as people come in, but the reality is we have no limit. We have no like point where we're like, oh, we can't
Yeah.
go full.
Mhm.
I mean, so and now we're starting to get more and more veteran owned businesses who are
Mhm.
advertising with us. It's like pay to play.
Yeah.
Just get in there and deal and pay for it. And
Mhm.
now it's an investment. Now
Yeah.
you're invested in this magazine
Mhm.
as opposed to um, something else. So
Do you have a link that you can send me, or we can put it in the comments if you have a link for the for like advertising on your
yeah,
website that people, because somebody listening might say, "Oh, I want to," and that way they don't have to go dig around.
well,
But
it's actually on our website. So if you go to theaddiesmagazine.com,
okay,
there
mhm.
is an advertise section right there. Now,
Okay, so
we
it's
are
easy to
actually,
find.
yeah, we're actually getting ready to revamp. So the media kit that we have available is also in Flipbook.
Okay,
Um, and then we also have a downloadable PDF that they can,
yeah,
but we're getting ready to revamp it because we're actually starting our own podcast starting in January.
nice.
Yeah, it's going to be called Just a Little More at Ease.
Oh, I love it.
So a little play on words there, and it's going to
Yeah,
be some of the backstories, and we're going to interview some of the people who have been in our magazine already, and that kind of thing. It's just going to be just a conversation, just like you and I are having right here.
that sounds exciting,
Yeah,
and it gives people who read the magazine an opportunity to learn just a little more
right,
about the people and hear their real voice and
right.
ask them questions if they
Mhm.
want. Have you been
Well,
on Helping the Brave podcast?
the what?
Helping the Brave with Ed Parco?
No, I've not heard of it.
I'll introduce y'all. Do you know Amy T. Meyer?
No, I don't.
She's in Washington State. Okay, I'll introduce you. I have a bunch of friends I'll introduce you to. Business owners, podcasters, and so
Mhm.
forth, but people that you might be able,
Yeah,
they would
absolutely.
love to have you on their show. Like Helping the Brave, it's interesting because Ed Parco, the guy who started it, he was, I believe he was a medic. I think he was a corpsman. I think he was Navy, and he was at a Marine Corps base
See?
in California, and he was bored stiff because they were like out in the middle of the desert. And he got his degree while he was in, but he ended up getting out. He only did his 4 years. And
Right.
so for like 20 whatever years, he was like, had nothing to do with the military. He did
Yep.
his stint, he was out. And then after 9/11 and stuff, he realized not so much he should have stayed in, but that he wished he had stayed in contact with people,
Right.
stayed
Right.
a part of that community. So that spurred him to start. Anyway, the latest thing he's done is start this podcast, Helping the Brave. And he has guests on to talk about, transitioning out and their story. My husband was on there one time, but
Oh,
he's got all
nice.
kinds of people from, entrepreneurs to whatever. It's
Right.
very interesting. But so you'd be good for that because you'd be a really interesting guest, but it would also be a great way for you to get more
Yeah,
support for people that
absolutely.
aren't used, that aren't aware of you yet.
Right. Right. And that's not an uncommon thing. I
Hmm.
mean, as a female vet, believe it or not, when I got out, um, I was even afraid to say I had been in the military.
I know.
Or
Yeah.
I was a vet,
Mhm.
because the few times that I did, I literally was attacked.
Wow.
Verbally attacked for saying
Yeah.
I was a vet.
Mhm.
And I was like, okay. And so, with kind of that stigma, I'm like,
Mhm.
I'm just gonna pretend I
Yeah.
never served.
Mhm.
Even though my time in the military, because I was so young, and when you're 19, 18, 19, 20, you're so impressionable, and it makes a mark on your life forever.
Right.
Know that the military was going to affect my life for my entire adult life.
Uh-huh.
And so now, as and so for probably 20 years, I, like, my sea bag was in the back of my closet, my memories were in the back of my mind, and I pretended I wasn't a vet. And every time they would ask for veterans to stand on Veterans Day, I sat. I wouldn't stand up.
Yeah.
And because it was a lot to be attacked like
Yeah.
that. And you're like, okay, I'm not a vet. I get it. I'm so
Yeah. Oh no, it's fine.
sorry.
And that's like Tom, even though he didn't retire until 90, he had still gone through the whole Vietnam thing,
Right.
being spit on and everything. And he pretty much, once he retired, I mean, we had friends in the military, but nothing, didn't keep contact with the community, and, didn't try to go, into with a defense contract or anything. And but I've heard a lot of other people talk about, well, I'll tell you one place in particular, because I work with that NASCAR driver, and
Right.
we work with companies to help promote access to resources for veterans. So some of the companies that we talk with or we talk with them about helping to build their veterans business
Right.
resource group.
Mm-hmm.
And I've always been like, why is it that all these other groups, they're really active, whether it's, women's, LGBTQ, African,
Right, right,
Black,
right.
whatever, they're all like really active in the companies. And a lot of the companies, they might have one, the company has the logo, they have everything,
Right.
but it's really not active. And I'm like, what's up with that? And I've been told, because a lot of people they don't self identify as a veteran because they're afraid of how they're going to be treated. So they're
Well,
just kind
yeah.
of quiet and
Yeah.
don't really say anything about it like you. So it's hard
Yeah.
to get people, which I think is really sad.
It is. Well, and then eventually finally, I got to an age where I'm like, screw this.
Yeah.
I'm a vet. I
Mhm.
served. I took the oath. It meant
Yeah.
something to me. It has affected my life. I still literally can get ready in 20 minutes.
Uh-huh.
I can eat. I can still eat fast, like I had
Yeah.
to eat when I was in the military.
Mhm.
And there's a lot of little things that I do. Even how I walk down the street.
Mhm.
Having that military bearing, that's still ingrained in me
Yeah.
after 30 years of being out. And so finally, I said, "Screw it, I'm a veteran."
Good for you.
And so I did.
I'll
I
drink to
started,
that.
right, and I started, recognizing it in myself. I started acknowledging it. I started to stand when, on Veterans Day,
Uh-huh.
I'd get the looks. And, I wasn't quite as jaded as I am now. I was kind of like, oh, well, I am a vet. Sorry. And now I stand up and I get those looks and I'm like, yeah, you want to go for it? Let's
Yeah,
go.
really.
So, yeah, it's just one of those things. And interestingly enough, being a female veteran,
Mhm.
and this isn't anything against our brothers at
Yeah,
all.
yeah.
I love my brothers more than anything in this world.
Mhm.
But we are the invisible demographic of the veteran community. It
Yeah.
is just, it's not us whining or feeling like we're,
It's just the
that's
truth. It's
reality.
a fact. Yeah.
And, I can walk down the road because, people have this vision of what vets are. Oh, you're a female vet. Yeah. And I'm also 50 years old and I also have some health stuff going on.
Mhm.
So, just bite your little tongue. There's just,
Yeah.
but, and part of it is because women, we get older, we gain weight, We
Yeah.
don't look like we did when we were in the military.
Hmm.
And it happens. You know what? It happens to every woman.
That's right. Life happens.
You know, whether you're in the military or not, it happens to every woman.
Hmm.
And you know, or you know, so there's self-conscious body issues. I don't want to say I'm a vet because I don't look like a vet.
Yeah.
What does that look like? What does a
Exactly.
veteran look
Yeah,
like?
because I knew some active duty people
Right.
that they're like, you got to
You
have
know,
at least 30 pounds so you
right.
can pass the
So
physical.
it's like, what does a veteran look like?
Yeah.
You know, and at the end of the day, you know, we are, and it's like, but, you know, when we go into Chili's on Veterans Day,
Hmm.
you know, I mean, I literally went in. I'm like, they're like, oh, where's your husband? I'm like, I'm not married. I'm
Yeah.
a vet.
Yeah.
You know, and so now we're actually like taking that. And at first it's like, jerk. But now I'm like, you know what? Embrace it.
Yeah, exactly.
Now the female veteran community, we're starting to like, you know, there's a wonderful woman by the name of Lisa Bass, and she's actually created jewelry, combat boots. And if you ever get a chance to interview her, she has a phenomenal story.
You need to
But,
introduce me to her.
and so, you know, she decided to do combat boots as jewelry, whether it's a link on a you know, bracelet or a
Hmm.
chain, or and it's just the female combat boots, and it's
Yeah.
like wearing that around, or you know, as a necklace or whatever. And t-shirts are being made now. It's like, I am the vet.
Yeah.
You know,
That's cool.
and just little things that now the female veteran community is
Hmm.
now embracing, instead of just constantly being like, "Ugh," you know,
Yeah. Well, you know, the other people that are interesting, military spouses who
yes,
either are male and or sometimes they're
yes,
both used to be
yes,
active duty and now they're the military spouse. I know men and women
yeah,
who were active duty and now
yeah.
they're the spouse and they're like, oh, now I get it. Now I
Mhm.
understand, because when you're doing your thing and you're deployed or whatever, you're working all the time, you don't understand what your spouse is going through. And I've had men and women both say, now I get it.
Well, and the great thing too about our magazine is we actually include that. We have a regular feature called Back on the Home Front, and that is something I don't write,
Mhm.
but I typically, I mean, if somebody's like has a really great story, but they don't really feel comfortable writing it,
Yeah.
I'll write it for them. But Back on the Home Front, and it's about military spouses, military parents, siblings,
Mhm.
you know, whomever. And if you have been a military spouse, male or female, connect me. I'm always
Yeah.
looking for someone to write our Back on the Home Front. And it's your perspective
Mhm.
of what you go through when your
Yeah.
loved one is deployed, or your one. I mean, can you imagine? My mother was the first one to write in our inaugural edition this feature, and after you know hearing her story, I'm like, God, I never thought about it. You
Mhm.
know, I mean, here her son is a Marine, and her daughter's in boot camp and is a in the Navy. Both her children are in the military.
Yeah.
Nobody knew what Desert Storm was going to be. I
Yeah.
mean, you know, we were thinking it was going to be this long, drawn out
Mhm.
kind of war. And so my mother is freaking, you know, kind of freaking out because now both her only children are both in the military at the same time
Yeah.
during war.
Yeah.
And so it's a very unique perspective she had.
Mhm.
And I never really thought about it. And of course, now at 50, I'm like, ah, I'm
I
so
know. Wow.
right, right. But we think about our military spouses. We think
Mhm.
about the sons and the daughters and the parents and the friends, you know,
Mhm.
what it's like having people go.
Well, and you know, Tom was in 26 years, but we were only together the last 6 years of his
Mhm.
26 years.
Right,
And then when he retired, we were married, we had kids and all this. He retired, but he didn't like stay connected in with the military. So for the longest time, I didn't think of myself as a military spouse.
right,
I almost felt like, and even when he retired, they gave me stuff that said Navy wife, and I felt like an imposter
right.
because I did have to quit a job and move with him, but I was never married to him when he deployed
Right.
or anything like that. And I never lived overseas. So I felt like because I never had to go through, it was hard, but also the adventure part, I felt like a fraud. I was like, I'm not really a Navy wife. And so I didn't talk about it. I just didn't really view myself that much as a Navy wife. And then after with the NASCAR team, and when I first met Stephanie Brown, the founder of the Rosie Network,
Mhm.
and we promote them through the team, and we were talking, and I'm like, yeah, but I was like, yeah, my husband's in the Navy, but I'm not really, blah, blah. And she's like, whoa, 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 whoa,
Yeah.
Lisa, you are, and I'm like,
Yeah.
I'm like, oh yeah, I am, and that was the first time I started embracing. I'm like, you know what? I am, because there are people who
Yeah.
weren't even in as long, I mean, they might have only been in like 2 years or whatever.
Right.
Not to discount that, but I was like, yeah, I am. And
Yeah.
so it's nothing like being a woman veteran. I'm not putting myself on that same level as y'all at all, but I can understand a little bit about feeling.
But it's hard.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't care who you are, whether female vets, okay, we are a tribe unto our own.
Yeah,
Trust me.
y'all are awesome too. I've met some great people.
We're just a tribe unto our own. But, I'll tell you what, those, military spouses, they put up with a lot of crap.
Yeah.
And they put up with a lot of crap from their military spouse. They put up with a lot of crap from the base. They put up with a lot of crap from, the commissary and the rules and having to do this and having to do that.
Yeah.
And always, 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 always as a military spouse, in the back of your mind, in those 6 years, at any time, your husband could have been called out. He's out.
Yeah.
He's deployed.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if we're in peacetime, wartime. It really doesn't matter. And so our military spouses put up with a lot.
They do. And like I said, I didn't have to see that much of it, but I'll never forget. I didn't shop at the commissary very much because I was like, whatever. And then, so my friend was like, no, you need to go to the commissary, my son's godmother. And we lived in Jacksonville, Florida then. So we went. I didn't know you had to go one way down the darn aisle. She's like, no, you can't go that way. All these women are looking. I'm like, what? She's like, no, you gotta go one way. And I was like, holy shit.
Right.
It's not like there were arrows on the floor to tell me.
I know, right?
I was like, oh my God, and I get it why they did it, but it was really bizarre. And then my husband's last position, he was in aviation maintenance.
Mm-hmm.
And AIMD, and so the wives club from the base that he was stationed at, there was me, and there was this other woman. She was a bit older than me, like maybe 10 years older, but she and her husband had not been married that long either. I think maybe his wife had died or something. And so we didn't come up through the military.
Right.
And I'll never forget, I don't remember exactly what it was she did, but like maybe she called somebody or did something that didn't go through like the proper channels with the wives. They were livid because it was like, you don't do that. You do the same thing as the men, the same. And I was like, damn, I get it, and I don't mean that to believe.
No, but it's true. I mean,
but if you're not used to it, you're just like, what the heck is going on here?
Yeah. I mean, military spouses, they get trial by fire too, because there is a chain of command.
Definitely.
No matter what.
And I do understand why there was that chain of command, because imagine if something bad happens, but still, it's like nobody trains you if you didn't come in down at the bottom. Right. But anyway, so I'm getting totally off topic, but
it's true. And so all military veteran, whether female or male, military spouses, I mean, we are literally this weird little tribe unto our own.
Yeah.
that nobody will ever understand except for us.
Hmm.
And that's just kind of how it rolls.
Yep, that's true. Okay, I've had you for almost an hour. I've enjoyed talking with you so much, Christine.
Fun.
I have so many people that I want to introduce you to, and people like podcasts that you can be on, and some of them you might already know. So I'll message you and see. But
Yeah.
podcasts that you can be on, but also people that would be good stories for the magazine. But tell the audience again how they can subscribe to the magazine. Y'all, please subscribe. Subscribe to the magazine, but you can also read it online and all that stuff.
Subscribe to the print. Let me tell you, these are, do you hear that?
Yeah. That is, look how heavy that page
It's
is.
heavy. This thing is massive. I mean,
What pound paper is that?
100.
Oh my God. That's like almost like business card, right?
Yes, it's
Wow.
very heavy. This is a coffee table magazine.
Yeah.
This is something that you can put out on your coffee table, in your business, on your, waiting room, wherever. But this, I promise you, and it is, we take a lot of time and a lot of effort to make it excellent. Everything about what we do is excellent. The stories, how they're written, the design and layout. There's our tabs. I don't know. Let's see if I can get it over.
Oh yeah. Oh my gosh. I love
There's our tabs
that.
page. We are all about the honor of the military.
Yeah.
But we are also veterans, so we are somewhat irreverent. So we have our own little way. We know what's honorable. We know what's irreverent.
Yeah.
We know the lines we can't cross.
Mhm.
But we have some phenomenal stories coming up in our spring issue. We are going to be talking to combat bike savers, and they actually, these veterans build motorcycles as a therapy.
Oh wow.
Once those motorcycles are built, it's theirs, and they can go riding and get wind therapy.
Cool.
We're doing one on leashes of valor. They train service dogs. We're doing one on Carl Brashear.
Mm.
He was a Navy diver. I know most of us have seen the movie,
Mhm.
but there's a lot more to the story
Yeah.
that you don't know. So we're doing a story on him. We're doing I'm broaching a very scientific, with many disclaimers, about cannabis use and
Okay.
cannabis as a medicine for veterans with PTSD and pain.
Mhm.
But we're going to take a very scientific approach to it. With many.
You still need advertisers for that issue?
We need so many advertisers.
Okay, because I know a Navy SEAL that owns a CBD company.
What's his name?
I can't remember it. I'll have to look, but I'll look and I'll ask you if you know him.
Well, and that's the other thing.
Our
Advertisers, we are not limited.
Yeah.
Because I'm the publisher. The publisher decides who can advertise and who can't.
Yeah.
And I will take CBD. I will take, ammo, whatever.
Okay.
If you have, if you're a veteran or a Patriot-owned business and you want to advertise with us, our rates for print are very, very reasonable.
Yeah, I've seen them. They are. And I want to say to potential advertisers, if you are not that familiar with the military community, you are truly reaching a cross section of America. A lot of people have this vision of what they think the military community is like, and it is not. It's every ethnicity, every religion, everything.
And that's the other thing. We don't see color in the military.
I know. It was
the only colors we see are blue, khaki, and green.
Yeah.
I mean, seriously.
I want to tell you a story, and I know this is way I'm going over and off track.
That's okay. I don't mind.
So, I told you my husband enlisted during Vietnam. Well, he had quit high school, and long story why and everything, his mom was ill, but he had quit high school. And his chief was a black man. And he called him in one day. He's like, Brown, come in, whatever. And he's like, oh my God, what did I do? And he's like, Monday morning, you're going to go report to whatever at 0800 or whatever. And he, he didn't know what was going on. And the man goes, you are a smart young man. You have got to, so basically, he was sending him to get his GED. And
Oh,
Tom gets teary eyed when he tells that
right,
story. He has told my kids that and me so many times because he's like, this was like 1965.
right,
He said he didn't need to do that. And I'm this young white guy, brat, basically, that's in
right,
school. He said, I don't know if I would have cared about me if I were him.
right.
But that shows you, we're
Oh
going to
yeah,
be emotional. That
I
shows you,
know. It does, but it's true. I
yeah,
mean, I didn't know. Honestly, I mean, in North Carolina, I didn't know what racism was.
yeah,
I mean, as 19 years old, I came from Colorado. I
uh-huh,
went to school with Black, Asian, Hispanic. I'm white and Jewish. I didn't
uh-huh,
know.
yeah,
I literally did not know there was racism in the world.
uh-huh,
And when I joined the military, I didn't experience it.
yeah,
Even as a woman, I didn't get treated different.
hmm,
So when I met, black, I had black friends, and it just they were just friends. They were
yeah,
fellow sailors. They had my back, and I had theirs. We didn't differentiate,
yeah,
and it was, and it's like all this stuff going on now. It's heart wrenching.
yeah, it is.
It's so heart wrenching. Speaking of, I want to show you kind of what the advertising can look like.
Oh, yeah, yeah, okay.
This is my very, very good friend,
Ooh,
Mary Beavers
I love
company,
that.
Soldier Girl Coffee Company, and she is the official coffee of At Ease Veterans Magazine.
Nice.
So if you are a CBD dealer, if you are a T-shirt company, if you do seasons and rubs, if you, I don't, I don't give a shit what you do.
Anything, yeah,
If you want to be the official of At Ease Veterans Magazine, now is the time to get in. And I promise you, once you do, you will. I mean, I will grandfather your price in
so
indefinitely.
when somebody's the official whatever of it,
Hmm.
are they paying a certain amount for like a half page or whatever, and they're
Yep.
committing to doing it for like 3 years or 5 years or something?
Well, if they're going to be the official, they're literally paying X amount of dollars. They are grandfathered into that price. So
Hmm.
no matter how big we grow, and we are going to grow
Yeah,
exponentially in the next 2 years, they will always pay that price forever,
yeah,
as long as they, continue to advertise with us without a break.
okay,
So,
okay,
so
so
now is the time to get in,
yeah,
because by the end of 2022, our prices are going to go up. And the
yeah.
end of 2023, our prices are going to go up.
And I know that y'all are all thinking, yeah, everybody says that. I'm telling you, if you look at the growth that Addie's magazine has had this year and going from this little staple thing to this perfect bound, awesome
Yeah.
magazine, she's not exaggerating. There's one thing I meant to ask you,
Mhm.
Christine. So, do you have any back issues? So, what if somebody
Yes.
wants to advertise, they want to subscribe now, but they want those awesome back issues, so they have the
Okay. On
full
our website,
library?
we have two things that are new. I'm so excited. Okay, we don't have any back issues of fall yet. I need to get some more advertisers in so I can order some.
Okay.
Um, but we do have back issues of our inaugural issue and our summer issue.
Okay.
And
And
then,
those are on your website for
yep,
order?
you can
Okay.
go to subscribe, scroll all the way down. You'll see a Did you miss an issue? And then there's a drop down
Okay,
menu,
cool.
and you can order those. And you can order, well, as many as we have in stock.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
I do keep an inventory of them. I try not to keep too many back issues because, one, this is my home office.
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
not
you can't keep
crazy.
them all. Yeah.
So I try to keep, a decent amount,
Mhm.
but it's not like there's, like a warehouse behind me where I can
Yeah. But
go.
here's the thing. There's only what, 4 issues so
Yes,
far. So this is the time, y'all, to
right.
go subscribe and order your back
Mhm.
issues, and that way you can start building your entire library. That's what I'm gonna do.
Well, and right now, I mean, we've got 10 issues left for winter. So go subscribe, because if, once I sell those 10, I gotta rerun. So I gotta reprint. So it's
Oh, you mean 10 10 more people for the number that you've already sold? Okay.
so because then once I get to that point, I have to do a rerun or a
Yeah,
reprint.
yeah. And
So
you can't you can't print 100 more magazines for one person subscribing.
No.
Yeah.
So that, and the other thing is we now offer gift certificates.
Oh,
So
cool.
for the holidays, if you have a veteran in your life, you love a veteran, you parent, mother, father, aunt, uncle, sister, brother, whatever. If you have a veteran in your life, you can go below our subscribe area. You'll see it's big. It's like gifts or gift subscription, and you
Okay.
can buy a gift subscription of print and digital, either one. And and if it's digital, it'll send them an email with a custom code that's just for them to set up their member portal with us.
Mhm.
If you do print, I'll get the order and I'll know who it's for, and then we just will send them in.
And do you have a subscription option for both if somebody wants print and digital?
Yeah, you can go. It'll just say continue shopping, and then you can go back and order your digital.
Oh, okay. Okay,
So,
gotcha.
I don't have any deals on that yet, just
Yeah.
because.
Yeah, that's fun. You got to pay your bills, and then you got to pay
Well,
yourself.
yeah, and right now, I mean, I'll tell you, there's a paper shortage. There's a lot of stuff going on,
Yeah.
and people are like, just do digital. I'm like, no.
Yeah.
I'm a Vietnam vet, Gen Xers. No, we have to have print.
And you have this vision of what you want, and
Yeah.
that is this really high quality, awesome magazine.
Yeah.
Christine, thank you so much
Thank
for your
you so
time.
much,
I really,
Lisa. I'm so excited.
yes, I've had a great time talking with you. I'm glad we finally got to meet and that Richard introduced us. And I'll turn around and I'll message you and ask you some of the people that I know if you know them.
Yeah,
So,
and also, I want to keep in touch because I want to have you on our podcast too.
Oh, I'd love to be on your podcast.
Okay,
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Thanks. Talk to you later. Bye, y'all. See ya.